The Lazy Song there by Bruno Mars. And in case you're wondering why we're playing songs that seem about a year old, well, they are exactly a year old. On this day in 2011, new live hits from back in the day. Because we want to know, has your music taste changed in 12 months? Matt and I would never have been able to predict the monumental shift our taste has taken since taking on this role. We once legitimately said, oh, I tell you what, can't wait for the new Katy Perry track to come in.
New Bruno Mars! Yeah, it's just not where I normally would have been musically, but now we get excited about big pop songs, and I think that's great.
My parents don't let me in the house anymore.
It's because you spend your time doing that.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
Your surroundings obviously influence you, and our surroundings.
And you're saying, though, that nothing's changed in the last 12 months?
Oh, I was just saying before that there was this great Vanity Fair article, the massive gist of which I can't really remember, but something like over the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you can think about it when you think in your head like architectural icons from those eras and design and fashion and stuff, they changed hugely. Like you know, you'd have like spaceships in the 60s and then you'd have earthen things in the 70s and, you know, like hugely different things. But it just kind of like culturally stalled when you got to the 90s and the 2000s. I think part of the argument was that technology had sped up.
Yeah.
So we were kind of more myopically focused on technology rather than all of these bigger changes externally. But yeah, it was sort of saying, you know, like if you think about stuff in the 90s and the 2000s, it's a real similar interplay. Yeah, and I you know, I feel the same way about music. I think it's quite kind of like that could have been.
That could have been yesterday's hit. Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I think it's called the David Guetta effect in music. Everything's just been the same since he came in a couple of years ago.
Let's move on to books.
The second cookbook that you brought in.
Let's talk about something I do know about.
Little and Friday.
Yeah,
now
Little Friday.
A cafe in Devonport and Newmarket up here in Auckland.
Local sensation, actually. But even in Wellington, our Wellington store has been selling it really, really well. So Kim Evans is the woman who owns and operates it, and she started it. She actually has a background in fine arts. She's got like a fine arts degree, I think.
It shows. The cafes are beautiful, the book is beautiful.
Yeah, her daughter does a lot of the kind of aesthetic work, but her fine arts degree, I think she did a lot of work in sculpture, and so she kind of took that sculptural base and applied it on cakes, and so she worked for years making these extremely kind of architectural cakes. And she owned a restaurant called Ice It in Devonport, which people might remember, and that was kind of a steep learning curve, she says. And then she just opened up, she started baking and putting this beautiful food into the markets in Takapuna. I remember going there and getting it at her stall. And then she just took on the lease of this teensy little like suburban Art Deco store.
Oh, it is. Are you talking about the Devonport one?
Yeah, it's like Takapuna-y kind of.
Way out of the way. Like, cafes, I would have imagined, would rely on geography to get a lot of their trade. You know, you're next to an important shop, and so you're going to get a lot of throughfare from that. She's in the middle. She's next to your next-door neighbour. It could just be a house in the middle of the burbs.
Well, if you've got a good enough product, you become a destination store, and that's what's happened with this. So she just started up, and she only had like a couple of people working for her, and they worked it from the ground up, and now it's crazy busy. And this is, I think, the book's onto its third print run.
Really?
Yeah. So all of the food that you find in the cafe, which is, you know, delightful baking, brioches and cakes and all sorts of delightful treats, she's got in the book. And there's a Newmarket store as well. So, and I kind of thought, I was like, well, why would I bother when I can just go to the cafe? But actually I was looking at the recipes today and they're really simple, and I'm really excited about trying them.
They look they're delicious. They look hard to make, but they're not.
Well, some of them are harder than others. The skill levels kind of go up and down, but I was reading about brioche, which is like one of my favourite things.
I love brioche.
You're a brioche man.
Oh, I'm a big fan of brioche myself.
Mate, cinnamon brioche. Just a little bit warm, just with a long black coffee and a cinnamon brioche, and you've got me in the best mood of the day.
I know what to do if I need to breathe you up. I know, you're always hungry at this time of night. Anyway, but I was looking at the recipe for that, and it just looks superbly easy. I'm going to try it.
That'd be one of those things that if you made, people would be so impressed as well. And if you made brioche?
The beautiful thing about television is that you can say that you're going to make it, and then you can also say to people at home, and I'll bring it in next week, and then we'll see how I went.
Totally.
And people would be really interested to see how you went, Lily.
So that
the people must know how you go, and
you know what? I think the author would be done a complete disservice if you didn't go away, bake a brioche, and bring it in next week.
Yeah.
Kim will be
She's
so
probably
disappointed.
going to die if I don't make brioche.
Kim is going to die if you don't make brioche. If the bus speed's below 50 k's an hour, we're all going to die. Just please make a brioche.
Please bring us brioche. Please bring us brioche. Please bring us brioche.
Out of 5 spoons.
Like 4.5, 5.
So a touch better than cooking with Gwyneth.
She was never going to win. I just feel like I was in the losing foot when I brought her into the studio.
Okay, look at the fonts. Look at the fonts. If Rose was here, she could do this bit of justice.
It's a lady font
It's
book.
a disgusting font book. Like, she has just cooped it. Whereas this one, have a look at this font book. It's a beautiful font book.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
think
does look
Supreme
nice.
came up with their Supreme coffee, which is what they serve there. Delicious coffee. And I think Supreme came up with that font.
It's great. It's
But
great
fonts aside, they're both great cookbooks.
Both
Cooking
great
with
cookbooks.
my father, cooking my father's daughter, or something like that.
Cooking my father's daughter.
Cooking my father. And Little and Friday.
Always round up on cannibalism.
Every single time. Yeah, that time of the week. Thank you very much for coming in,
It's
Lily.
a pleasure.
Gentleman's handshake, as Rose Manafay would say. And we are going to go
I'm taking
now.
a detour from 2011 for one song that I promised
all
I'd
right.
play today.
Okay, you got
Christchurch
the DeLorean.
Band. Voin Voin Strum. Know anything about them?
I don't know much, no.
Neither do I. Should we find out more about them the best way possible, which is by listening and watching the
Give it
new
a hoon,
video.
bro.
All right, this song is called Shiver, Christchurch Band, bit of a rock thing, and then we'll move him back to 2011. Thank you, Lily.
Bye.
High five.